Hey, what's going on? Bob and Dave here. It is time for the monthly newsletter. We're doing so much at the Law Group, and we want to thank you for the support. And our open rate on these things is like really amazing. We're so grateful that we're able to make the impact that we are upon you and so many people, Dave. So really, this is what I've always said, that being a lawyer is such an opportunity to be in so many spaces to make a positive difference in people's lives. You've heard me say that forever, but with the media and the things that we're doing now, it's even amplified.
Sure, and all of it allows us to grow and serve more people, and that's what it's really all about. Is like, you see the content creation that we're putting out, you see the videos, the TV appearances, the newsletter that I'm going to talk a little bit about as well, but it is all to that end, and that is to serve more people, because we are so fortunate in our careers to have the experience that we have and put the team that we have together of former prosecutors, the procedures, the SOPs. It is all for the end goal to serve more people, and I'm so happy that we're able to do that. So thanks for following. And first news update in this firm is Bob is now once again, a certified EMT.
There you go.
And
the official shirt.
Yeah. Did you wear that for this newsletter? Is that what you did?
I am so proud, Dave. I've been wearing. In fact, you haven't even seen this. I know this. I even have EMT socks.
Okay. No, I didn't see
pills,
that.
Whatever.
I did not see
it's
that.
It's part of the paraphernalia that I got once I got certified.
Now, did they give you those things when you're certified, or did you have to pay?
They do give you a card. I have that on me right now, and a beautiful diploma. And it's really something else. If you want me to talk about it,
And I think there's a backstory here too, because Bob, weren't you originally an EMT, and then that certification lapsed? Then you did your prosecutor stint, and we've been at the Bianchi Law Group for 10 years. And what made you go back to being an EMT?
Yeah, it's actually a part of my life that I speak about. If you know me, you've heard EMT stories, right? But it's probably one of the intensest things I've done in my life, and also one that I was really good at. Like there are certain things I've done in my life that I was okay at, I was successful at. But to me, being a prosecutor, being a trial lawyer, and an EMT were the things I really thrived at. So it was a very intense environment. I did it as a volunteer when I was 17 years old, 1980 I started. I took my test, Dave, my EMT exam, the day Ronald Reagan got shot. And I looked that up. That's March 31st of 1981. And from that time forward, I worked as a volunteer at the South Orange Rescue Squad. And I also worked professionally at Record Ambulance all the way through law school, and made a lot of money doing that, and handled every call in urban environments, suburban environment. And I just really thrived on it, and I loved it. And I loved helping people, and I loved giving back to the community. So fast forward to later in life, and I was going through a box that my mother had put together of items that I didn't even know this thing existed, I guess cherished about my childhood, and she was throwing things away. And in there were two of my EMT patches that I used to wear. And what happened was I had to give up my EMT, because after 10 years, when I went to become an assistant prosecutor, they weren't allowing us to be part of organizations like that. So it was time for me to move on. And when I reflected back on it and looked at that box with the EMT patches or whatever, when the first of the year came around, I said, I want to reclaim those things in my life that I did, that I was good at, that were making a positive difference in life, that I let go as I moved on to other things, like becoming an attorney and assistant prosecutor, a county prosecutor now at the Bianchi Law Group, and being an EMT was at the top of the line. Now, the thing I really loved about it, I'm not going to lie to you, you know me well, is everybody was like, you're too old to be an EMT. And the minute somebody's telling me I'm too this, that, or the other to do something, I think you know me well enough to know that I'm going to resist that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. And I did. And it was an extremely intensive course. Dave, I'm not even making it up. The world has changed 37 years later. 37 years. I can't even believe it. It's like I'm looking back in my life in a time capsule. But now the book is just twice as thick, and the meds you can give now and the things that you have to do so much more sophisticated. fascinated. And I love the idea that I stepped into a classroom of people and I was the oldest guy there and I didn't care. I was going to face the fear of that. And I was going to face the fear, when I say fear, with a small f, the fear of failure or the fear of being just like everybody else. Not Bob Bianchi, the former prosecutor, certified criminal trial lawyer, partner at the Bianchi Law Group. I was just like all those younger people that were there. And we gained such a bond with one another. And I learned so much, and it was more intense. I think this as I went through it than I ever imagined it would be. I don't think I've been this intellectually challenged, emotionally challenged, mentally challenged since I took the bar exam.
Wow.
But I am, I got through it and super proud that I took the National Registry exam, which you now have to do. You didn't have to do that back in the day. It's a lot more challenging to become an EMT today than it was then. And I passed that. And now I've been licensed by the state of New Jersey. And so stay tuned because I'm going to come up with an announcement because I am, in fact, I wasn't going to do this when I first started. I just want to reclaim the EMT and as I got older, be able to help people, but not necessarily in an organized way. But I've now got bit by the bug again, and I will be joining a volunteer ambulance service.
Wow.
To be announced.
That was going to be my next question, actually. Is that, well, first off, at the very least, even if you don't go back to the rescue squads, we are definitely safer here at the Bianchi Law Group. At the very least, especially on those long trips down to Atlantic City for the State Bar Association and the various different things we do at the Bar Association. All of our friends down at the Atlantic City Borgata now have an EMT with Bob Bianchi.
Yeah, you guys are a lot safer. I'm still much in danger.
Oh man, congratulations on that, Bob. I know how much that means to you, and I did want to bring that up as number one.
Oh, and I want to add to that. It's also something that I did not anticipate. There was a lot of things, and we're going to do a larger video. I learned a lot about myself. That I did not expect to, and a lot of memories and a lot of, a lot about who I am and where I'm going to be and what I want to be, and to keep challenging myself. I learned a lot about how people were like, why don't you just go into retirement and relax and whatever, and I'm like, oh my God, so different. We did the TED Talk with the deathbed confessions. A lot of that was from my EMT experience, but what I also learned was it takes a village, right? Family, friends, and my law partner in particular, because there was a tremendous amount of resources that this firm paid financially, as well as time-wise, and never once in that entire multi-month process, intense process, multiple days a week, did I hear anything other than good luck and go get them and how's it going? So thank you.
Absolutely. It is a pleasure. And again, congratulations. I know how much that means to you. That's why we chose to lead off the June newsletter with EMT certification.
Hey, look, you got my pin too.
Bang. There you go.
Boom. Everybody makes a pin.
The other thing, too, is something I'm really proud of is this Law Life newsletter that I've been putting out on LinkedIn.
I've been following it.
I have 3 articles out. I'm working on the 4th right now, Bob. That's going to be released this week. And this week, I'm actually talking about resilience. And really back to the days of our training with Brene Brown, the gifts of imperfection and the guideposts, and how I think lawyers can benefit from that teaching and those guideposts. So if you don't have the subscription already, it is on LinkedIn. It is called Law Life, Thriving as a Lawyer. And I'm putting out my 4th article. I can't believe it, Bob, because I hoped that I could reach people with this. But as I sit here today, I have over 700 subscribers to this, and I'm not even a month in.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Thank you, everyone. And I know a lot of our community has already subscribed. I see retired judges. I see prosecutors and former prosecutors, defense attorneys, friends, vendors, everybody is subscribing, and I'm getting so much great positive feedback on the newsletter itself. I'm just really, really proud of it. It's just something that I'm doing to really give back and help some of the younger lawyers, and then some of the older lawyers too that need some of the Brendan Burchard, Ed Milet, Law Life content.
Yeah, so I'm proud of you for what you're doing, because I think as you get older, you know that my dad always said, as a lawyer, every day you get to make people breathe a little bit easier, regardless of what side of the equation you're on. And that my TEDx talk was surrounding the idea at the end of the day, your deathbed. What are you going to say about your life? Did it make a difference? Are you going to say life well lived, right? And a lot of younger people, unfortunately, I say, maybe even older people for that matter, for people in general, aren't looking to give back. They don't have the time, they don't have the inclination, or they haven't done the self-reflection necessary to be able to put out there, like, I want to do this to help other people, and you're doing it. Yep. And you're making that a success and a reality. And I think it's beyond law life. Maybe it should be the live your life, the laws, if you will, of living a good, resilient, solid life. Not that anybody's life is perfect, but your North Star has always been directed towards that, and you're filling that mission. And I think that's one of the reasons both me and you have a symbiosis, because we've always looked at the partnership as more than just the nuts and bolts of the legal profession. Of Brene Brown, you mentioned before, and what you're doing right now is making such a huge difference. So if you haven't subscribed to it, you should. It's got a lot of valuable wisdom from Dave's background, his experience, but moreover, he's also has the curiosity, right? This is a word I use a lot. I think this is a huge word, especially for older people, may I add. Don't lose your curiosity. Dave has that curiosity, so that curiosity is now translating and helping other people. Great job.
Yeah, I think that we're a lot in common in that respect, in the sense that you went back to school for the EMT, and we've both been on this path of learning really over the last couple years as we scaled the business, learning marketing and sales and all the new technology and AI and things like that. Staying up, I think, is critical to not only lawyers, but everyone. There's so many resources out there that we have access to that we hadn't before all the technology. So, Bob, you'll find this pretty funny, actually. Originally, I was going to call it law-life balance, as if there is a balance in the law between work and personal. And I nixed the balance, because we could try to be balanced in our lives. Bob and I try to stay on track with our pillars, but at the same time, you don't know what's coming around the corner. And especially when we're on trial, when we have to prepare. And if anybody's been a trial partner of Bob Bianchi, you better be up all night ready to talk and text message, because it is nonstop. The balance is just not there at all times in the law. Yeah,
well, that's that I hate this term work-life balance. I am sorry for anybody who I'm offending out there if I'm being politically incorrect, because it all depends on what balance means, right? And when you are in a profession where somebody's life is, and you often say, Dave, that, and it's really true, and I never really thought about it the way you articulate this, that somebody gives up their right to speak for themselves. It is literally the most difficult thing. Their autonomy, their ability to advocate to us as criminal trial practitioners. And so I think, given the weightiness of what we're asking and what people have to do, that we should be working when we have to, day and night, in order to achieve an optimal result. Now, that doesn't mean, you know what I'm saying, within reason, right? So here's what I think work-life balance means to people. If I am passionate about what I do, working a 14, 16, 20-hour day if I'm on trial is not arduous to me. It's not difficult. I'm doing what I enjoy. I'm doing what I love. It's not like I'm in a prison. Just like why you advanced in the prosecutor's office the way you did. You advanced for one reason. You weren't waiting to 9 o'clock to step in the office, and at 4:30 your foot hit the elevator door. You were there early. You were there late. People were coming up to me. Hey, that guy's willing to do everything. Make copies. Go get coffee. No job is beneath you. And you caught the attention of people like, that's a really hard worker and he's really skilled, and that's what catapulted your career. Somebody could have looked at that as an invasion of their work-life balance. I looked at it like a person who was dedicated towards a mission to make other lives better and to do as good as he could and to hone his skills and to realize he had to pay his dues. And that is what made you who you are. So, I like to have more balance with the things I love, which is give me more of the things I love. Then I don't have to sit there and look at my life having to be quote unquote balanced.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I've been thinking about this, and I actually had a conversation with a retired judge that I specifically remember when we were in Costa Rica on the family law retreat. And because my TEDx talk was on overwhelm, is literally like the overwhelm leading up to COVID, the stress and anxiety, and really the unhealthy lifestyle that I had. And as I reflected on that, and this was in the conversation with a retired judge, I came to the revelation that it wasn't overwhelm. If the reason it was overwhelming, all that hard work and grit over that period of time, is because I also had distractions in my life. Mm-hmm. I also had things that were distracting and weren't necessarily the things I should have been focused on. So I think that work ethic, that hard work, that grit is required in most of the careers.
Yeah.
But it really has to be balanced instead of distraction ridden, because if you're not using your time wisely, the overwhelm can come with that season in your life of hard work.
And that's a great point. Distraction's a good point. And it's also good to say that doesn't mean that you can't have 90% of something that somebody would consider work that we consider something we enjoy doing because we're making a difference.
Right.
But what's out of the 10%? Is it going to go to the distraction, or is it going to go, we laugh, right? We went to one of our coaches, body, being, balance, and business.
Sure.
And okay, so we're now focused, and we'll explain that maybe in a later video what that means. But now I'm like, okay, and instead of my 10% that I've got left, I don't want to be distracted. I want to go back to those other 3 things.
Right. So, I mean, that's the key. The key is really time management, because a lot of people are looking for shortcuts, right? What's the shortcut to get to a particular place? I'll tell you what, shortcuts don't work. The grit, the hard work is still required. Alex Hormozy, someone I listen to regularly, talks about the reps. You need the reps. Brendan Burchard, who was talking about public speaking last month, was talking about this. You got to get up and do it. Trial lawyers, I think, fall into the same conversation. To be a good trial lawyer, you have to get on your feet.
Yeah.
You have to do the cross-examinations. Mm-hmm. You need to know the rules of evidence. You have to get the reps in. And I think a lot of people are looking for shortcuts. And that's one of the reasons I knocked balance off law life. And it's another revelation that I've had about that hard work period, that season of my life. It could have been better without the fantasy football and without some of the other things that were going on. And I could have done a better I could have been better with time management. So just something that I'm thinking about more and more as we continue.
Yeah, and I think that you keep watching or looking at law life and what we're saying here, because I think there's also, this means more to me now than it ever has before, some of these lines, especially my mother's stuff coming back to me. It's like she planted these seeds and she knew it wasn't going to be valuable in my 20s, my 30s, my 40s, my 50s, but maybe in his 60s he'll hear it. But, perfection is the enemy of the good.
Yep.
And nobody hears us, between us, is saying that we're perfect by any stretch of the imagination. We are on a journey to make ourselves as better just a little bit. And it reminds me of Father Heath. Remember the TEDx talk, right? If you can just make yourself one little bit better each day, day by day, or help one person just one little bit more day by day, just one person, not 100,000 people, whatever, then your life will be well lived. So congratulations on that.
Oh, that perfectionism. I mean, it's literally part of what Brene Brown taught us. That was her research about resilience, and you'll have to see more about what I say about Dr. Brene Brown. And also, Bob and I are certified in the Daring Way. We are certified facilitators in the Daring Way. So I'll bring a little bit of that into this article. And it seems to be award season too in our legal community. A lot of congratulations to go around. First to our friend John Whipple, who received a prestigious award from the ACDL of New Jersey. The award was named after his father.
Yeah.
And I know both were friends with John. And John, congratulations on that. We know how much that meant to you to get that award.
I'm going to speak real quick on that.
Yeah.
I think I share a unique thing with John that very few lawyers have. And that is having a father, in this particular case, a parent, a father in this case, who was an icon in the legal community. And his reputation was stellar for just being great. And to grow up in that shadow can crush certain people or can inspire them. And John is I think his dad would be proud, I think has equaled his father. If not surpassed, as it should be. And I hope I have too with my father. But it's because I know it's not easy. And John is just an amazing guy, a good friend, and somebody who I always say, if I got into trouble, John would be one of the first people I call. We do a lot of work with John, so we're very proud and well-deserved. And the fact that award is named after his dad and he got it really is amazing.
It really was a great night at the Pleasantdale Chateau, which was a huge community of criminal defense attorneys. And it was really fun learning about the history of the organization and just seeing all of our colleagues and friends in the criminal defense community there to support John. Was such a great night. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to go to the State Bar Association Professionalism Award luncheon, which was another exceptional reception attended by many. We had a number of friends that got awards, including Geraldine Lawrence, and every county bar association gave awards to a recipient. And then ACLU was there, ACDL, all of these other ancillary organizations were giving out awards for theirs. It was just a star-studded day. Justice Albin was the official that did the emceeing of the event. And again, a lot of friends, a lot of colleagues, community coming together. It's great to see all of our colleagues out there, and congratulations to all the recipients.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes it can be hard. And I know people who are non-lawyers here, for our lawyer friends that watch this newsletter, they'll understand. We chose a profession that, by definition, is in constant battle. We're in an adversarial system, and we represent big interests, whether you're a family law attorney, criminal law, whatever it is, civil attorney. There's a lot on the line. And sometimes with the lawyers and the judges and the stresses that each one has, we can forget about how much each one of us, and these awards to me represent really what each one of us is doing to better the lives of other people. So when people, I've always found this interesting to me, hate lawyers. People have a negative thing about lawyers, except their lawyer. There's like a 95%, like, my lawyer is amazing. They're different from the rest of the lawyers. But really what it is in an adversarial system, certainly 50% of the people are not going to like you because you're on the other side. But we do tough things. And without the attorneys and the professionals and the people who got these kind of awards, this is what makes us the best society, I think, in the world.
And also too, we go to these family law retreats, and we could do stories just on the dynamics there. Family law attorneys are in conflict every single day. Gosh. In fact, we don't handle criminal. Strike that. In fact, we don't handle family law disputes. We have domestic violence cases that we do because they're quasi-criminal and they involve predicate acts. But when it comes to equitable distribution and custody and parenting time and alimony, we want none of it. So the family law attorneys, they are in conflict, literally. They are on the other side, and they are dealing with clients that are very emotionally tied to their cases. Yeah. So to watch them all go to the retreats together and hang out and go to events and dinners and things, it's exceptional. Without
sticking a fork in somebody's face.
It really is. It's another example of these get-togethers among the legal community that's really required for the sanity of our legal profession. to not only battle it out in the courtroom, but also to dine together and have fun together, because it's important that we all get along in the sandbox.
Can I give my famous line about criminal versus family? So just, I always used to say to illustrate the point that family is very difficult. Of course, if you're a professional that loves that, we talked about that before, right? Work-life balance. If you love that area of law, it's not difficult for you. I don't love that area of law, so it would be difficult. And I would rather represent somebody who ran over 12 nuns on a sidewalk on purpose than handle one matrimonial action. So that's the line.
He does say that. And notice how I didn't respond when he asked if he could say that.
No, it's because there's a lot of emotion that goes on, and you have to be a special kind of personality as a lawyer to deal with that. Like, we have to be a special kind of personality. So it works for us and it works for them.
I'll tell you, that fact pattern is so exceptionally rare that any fatality involving a motor vehicle is purposeful. Because most of the time we talk about this, these are the toughest cases because it's reckless.
Yeah.
In a sense that nobody gets behind the wheel and intends to kill either somebody else in the other car or a passenger. And it's happening, unfortunately. And the major issue in those cases was the motor vehicle recklessly operated. But with that being said, those are very, very difficult cases, even criminal cases, to handle.
I found it to be the hardest case to prosecute for that very reason. And not that, I mean, that was how they started you in homicide when I was a young assistant prosecutor, to give you death by auto cases. And you have to be a heartless person not to show, you understand somebody's dead on the other end, and that's a huge interest that we prosecute that case.
Sure.
But most of the people were, but for the grace of God, or young people, typically speaking, and made a mistake that had tragic consequences, and then you'd watch these people getting shipped off for decades in state prison. And it not that it shouldn't be that way. It was just sad. It's a lot easier to represent somebody who purposefully pulls a gun or a knife out and harms somebody, or robs somebody, or rapes somebody, or molests somebody. They were tough cases for me.
Sure. Those intentional, purposeful, knowingly cases those are different elements that the prosecutor has to prove. And when you get those reckless cases, the defendant doesn't set out to actually result in the consequences or the result of that particular action. And then finally, Bob, State Bar Association. What a great convention. We brought our team down to Borgata for the State Bar Convention. Congratulations to all the new officers and all the new officials that are in positions in committees and sections. And both of us had the opportunity to speak down there. Personally, I was able to speak to the family law attorneys in the room that I love the best, and that is about the intersection of domestic violence and criminal. And then, Bob, you were in the room talking about attorney wellness, which is a topic close to my heart as well. So what another great convention, bringing down the team of former prosecutors and seeing all of our friends, colleagues, and speaking at the CLEs.
Yeah, proud of that. We had our whole team down there. Very proud of the team, all former prosecutors, and both me and you being able to give those lectures, and it was great. The panels were great. The people were great. It's a great time, and I'm so proud of what we're doing and the reputation that our firm has.
Yeah. And finally, Nothing But the Truth continue on WMTR on Saturday mornings at 9:30 a.m., putting out original content. And Bob, how many episodes at this point has it been? Every week we're getting new guests and new content out there talking about mindset with two lawyers.
Yeah, again, this is something that is a dream of mine. When we left the prosecutor's office, I had said to you I wanted to do something more than just, the nuts and bolts of the law, and make a bigger difference and have a wider influence. That was one of the reasons I love the prosecutor's job, is the difference you could make to people in the community affairs unit and things of that nature. And we're doing it here, and that reach and the people that we have coming in here are just amazing. And I'm learning a lot from them, even if it's just to have the same themes from these such successful people reiterated to me to confirm that, okay, I'm on the right track. So really appreciate that, and all the support you guys give in listening to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thank you for the referrals. We are certainly here for anything you guys need. Criminal defense, domestic violence, municipal court, team of former prosecutors. And with that, we're signing out of our June newsletter.